What's up, everyone? Let's dive into some updates about the Raiders that are essential for you today, along with some NFL rumors circulating, especially regarding a team that's not exactly our favorite. I'll also bring up some interesting quarterback speculations. Today, I'll be giving an update on Devin White's contract, sharing some details, and offering an optimistic view on this deal. Additionally, I'll talk about John Spytek's son's preference on who the Raiders should pick in the draft, which is a pretty fun story, and it's likely that John will take his son's opinion into account when making decisions. There are a lot of rumors about trade talks involving Joe Milton, with several teams showing interest, as reported. I'll also explore some discussions surrounding Geno Smith and take a look at the NFL schedule, focusing on the Raiders' slate, which I think is crucial to address. Even without Chugs being here, I always want to share whatever info I come across. The main reason I'm making this video is based on Jenny's comments and Devin White's contract, which I'd like to highlight. Stay informed by turning on your notifications, because I want you to follow everything we release. Before we get into these topics, it's important to mention the passing of John Vela. The Raiders posted on Twitter today expressing their sadness, saying the Raider family is mourning the loss of John Vela, an essential player on the team's powerful offensive lines in the 70s and a starter on the Oakland Super Bowl winning team. Vela was drafted by the Raiders as a second-round pick in 1972 after a standout career at USC, where he was honored as a consensus All-American tackle in 1971. Known for his skill and intense competitiveness, Vela played both guard and tackle, appearing in 84 games, 48 of them as a starter, over 8 seasons with the Silver and Black, before finishing his career in Minnesota in 1980. The prayers of the entire Raider Nation are with the Vela family in this difficult time. Although I never watched Vela play, I'll always appreciate how, through this program, many older Raider fans try to motivate younger generations to learn about and watch this great player, who truly represents the Raider spirit. I asked my dad what he thinks of John Vela, and even though he's not a Raiders fan, I believe he respects hardworking people and admires the old-school mentality of "I'll win at all costs." That's exactly what he said about John Vela. May the great John Vela rest in peace, always remembered as a Raider. Now, let's focus on Devin White's contract. Sources indicate that White's contract is a one-year deal worth $1.17 million, with a salary cap impact for the Raiders of $1.03 million. When you offer a contract like this, it's not something you expect to see as a player projected to start. To be honest, when reading John Spy's comments about Devin White, where he expressed optimism about his recovery and used the word resurgence to describe his performance as a weak-side linebacker, I was apprehensive about a potentially higher offer. However, considering that this is a contract for a 28-year-old player with potential, I'm feeling more positive about the deal now. I'm not saying Devin White will be a starter for the Raiders, but this contract suggests that they see him as a depth addition. If you consider Devin White as a depth piece and let him play at his pace, rather than being a linebacker who's on the field for every play, I believe there's a chance this deal could bring positive results. So, if you were someone who was completely against the Devin White contract like I was, breathe easy, because $1.03 million doesn't represent any significant risk. If you view this player as a depth asset and allow him to perform as an athlete, instead of a linebacker in every play, I truly believe this deal has a chance to succeed. For those who were totally against trading for Devin White, like I was initially, take a deep breath. $1,030,000 doesn't pose risks in this deal, which has gone from something that made me uneasy to a contract I now look at with far more optimism. Now, let's move on to the next topic on the agenda, which involves what John Spytek's son shared with his dad. What I find particularly touching is that my dad is my closest friend. We've always been able to openly express our thoughts to each other. Imagining a younger version of myself addressing my dad, had he been the general manager of the Raiders, and expressing my expectations is pretty funny. This reminds me of an episode on a TV show last year, where John Mara's son argued that the team should trade up to select Jaden Daniels, highlighting that opportunities like this don't come often. This seems to be gaining traction, so here's the exact statement from John Spytek. My oldest son made it clear that if we don't select Ashton Jenny with the 6th pick, he's willing to leave the family and ally with whoever picks Jenny, he humorously admitted. His son, Jack, clearly wants John to pick Jenny. Spy Tech added that this view comes from a fantasy football touchdown perspective, but he also shared an anecdote where he approached Mark Davis and stated that if his father didn't pick Ashton Jenny, he wouldn't be fulfilling his duties properly. Indeed, many fans hope the Raiders pick Jenny, so I have to give some credit to the kid. Sometimes, you need to guide your dad on what to do. If I were in a situation where I needed to choose between Ashton Jenny and Tadar McMillan, I can guarantee that the final decision for me would be influenced by my son's preference for Jenny. Of course, I want to make the best choice for the team, but picking Jenny with the 6th pick is undoubtedly a wise decision, and I wouldn't mind it either way. At this point, the tiebreaker for me would be, my son wants me to pick Jenny, so I'd go with Jenny. Of course, I'm a little torn because I want to make the best decision for the football team, but picking Jenny with the 6th pick wouldn't be a bad choice, and I stand by that regardless of perspective. If you appreciate the kid's determination and would also like John SBYCK to choose Ashton Jenny with the 6th pick, show your support. Moving on to the next topic, it's time to talk about Joe Milton. There are a lot of trade rumors involving Milton, which doesn't surprise me at all. Supposedly, one of the main journalists covering the Patriots commented this morning that the team has received several inquiries about a potential trade for Joe Milton. This is my take on the NFL and the Patriots. It's a little strange that I haven't seen many teams showing interest in Joe Milton, but the Patriots are saying that everyone's interested in him. When I hear that, I'm not surprised. Milton isn't a quarterback who fits what Josh McDaniels wants to implement. The Patriots also have Drake May and recently signed Josh Dobbs to a 2-year, $8 million contract. Is that a significant amount? Not exactly, but it indicates that Joe Milton is clearly the 3rd quarterback in New England. I recognize that Milton had a solid season last year with impressive numbers. He completed 22 passes out of 29 attempts, racking up 241 yards, 1 touchdown through the air, and also ran for 16 yards and a touchdown. There's no doubt that Milton has an elite arm, capable of throwing the ball further than many. However, when evaluating what he brings as a quarterback, it's clear that he's still pretty raw. The question that arises is whether the Raiders should consider a direct trade for Joe Milton, offering Aiden O'Connell. To be honest, my opinion is that if a team decides to trade for Milton, it'll probably be for a 7th-round pick. So, if you're part of the Raiders and you have pick number 222, would you offer it for Joe Milton or make a direct trade for Aiden O'Connell? Here's a question I'd like many to think about, and I'll leave this as the pinned comment in this video. Who do you think is the better quarterback, Aiden O'Connell or Joe Milton? My answer will appear right after this break. It might surprise you, but I'd pick Aiden O'Connell over Joe Milton because I don't think Milton has enough potential to become a starting quarterback in the league. Moreover, I have doubts about whether he'd be a good option as a backup, as I'm not sure how he'd lead a team. When comparing Milton and Aiden, I don't see them as starting quarterbacks, but more from the perspective of who would be more valuable to a roster. And without a doubt, I'd point to Aiden as that choice, and this applies to the vast majority of the league's 32 franchises. The only reason I'd be curious about Joe Milton would be for what I always mention, the potential for a quarterback in short yardage situations. If a 3rd-down situation arose and won, with Milton behind Jackson, I truly believe we'd get that 1st down. However, if I were shaping a quarterback, thinking in the most intelligent way, I'd consider Aiden O'Connell superior to Joe Milton. Next, we'll address Geno Smith, as we have an update from John Spy Tech. After that, we'll discuss the proposal made by the Kansas City Chiefs to the league, something that could ruin a holiday for you. But before we dive into that topic, it's important to mention that baseball season has already started. Don't miss out on the opportunity to include your favorite field players in your lineup. Whether it's eliminations, rushing yards, or first-inning runs, this season is full of opportunities. I've often enjoyed debating running back rushing yards during football season, focusing on their first rushes or receptions and yards gained by wide receivers on their initial plays. This approach provides a more dynamic viewing experience, as games can go on for hours, while an inning or a few runs can keep the excitement high and offer that instant adrenaline. One interesting aspect to explore are first-inning runs, which can be really fun. The platform allows for the combination of athlete projections across various sports, allowing baseball players to connect with basketball, hockey, esports, and much more. The app is easy to install, and when you make your first lineup, you can receive a bonus. The system offers various payment options for deposits, making it easier to get started in this sports season. Shifting gears, recent observations have arisen about the contract situation of an athlete. The main question is whether a deal will be reached. There's an air of optimism surrounding this, with attention being given not only to this season, but also to the future. The expectation is that a solution will be reached in a short period of time. The interest in a contract extension remains high, and it will be interesting to follow how things unfold soon. Looking ahead, the expectation is that everything will fall into place, ensuring a presence not just this year, but in the years to come. There's a strong belief that this will come together soon. Regarding the potential contract extension, there seems to be optimism about finalizing a deal. There's speculation about the duration of the extension, with predictions pointing to a 2 or 3 year period. Many people across Brazil have shown interest in this agreement situation, with some fans questioning the contributions so far and wondering about the logic of renewing the contract ahead of time. It's important to understand that this situation reflects the way the league operates, and the decision to proceed with the hire was made with confidence in future potential. The focus is on securing the role not just for this season, but for the long-term strategy being developed for the following years. Shifting to another area of interest, a significant development has emerged involving a team in the league. Information points to the fact that, after consecutive appearances during the holiday season, the team has officially expressed the desire to become a permanent fixture during this holiday. This situation is particularly interesting when considering the traditional Thanksgiving Day games, which have been going on for years. It wouldn't be surprising if the league considers designating specific teams for the Christmas games each year, and given the current success of this team, they may be a strong contender for this assignment. Analyzing the fan interaction dynamics, it's clear that some criticisms have emerged regarding the fan base, and statistics may reinforce this perception. While it's still uncertain whether the league will move forward with this idea, there's a history of decisions favoring this team, which makes this possibility quite intriguing. Looking at the reactions of the fan bases, it's clear that the Kansas City group has some struggles, and I'm not shy to say that. The data is telling. I don't know if the league would decide to act on it, but I wouldn't be surprised, given they often make decisions that favor Kansas City. Another thing I want to highlight is the rumors regarding the season opener games. A few months ago, I shared information about a team playing on Thursday or Friday. This situation is due to the fact they'll face a tough opponent and another team. The question is that we still don't know who will be the opponent in one of the games and who will play against the other. One game will be on Thursday night, while Friday is reserved for the other team, and we don't know who that will be. The expectation is there will be a match that day, and I'd be surprised if the mentioned team participated in the opener. What I want to highlight is that if anyone remembers my statement about the possibility of playing that Thursday or Friday, I can now say that chance has diminished significantly. Recently, I found out that a team is highlighted to face the opponent in an interesting location, which would represent a unique opportunity, especially with news indicating that the team will be traveling to faraway places in 2026, potentially playing there. But right now, it seems they won't play on Friday, and I don't think they'll be part of the opener on Thursday in the first week of the season. These are the updates I have about the team. For those planning to watch a basketball game tonight, I'll be tagging along with a friend who invited me. And for fans of another team, I'll be honest, I'm not too interested in the game. I'm more curious about how the season will unfold without one of the team's top players. Plus, someone from a rival team invited me, so who knows, maybe we'll end up on camera. But the main points of this conversation revolve around a contract that was signed, which brings me more comfort regarding the situation. I'm excited to see how the team handles a specific position, but this definitely gives me more confidence. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Could the Kansas City Chiefs be on the verge of adding another dynamic playmaker to their already explosive offense? Rumors are swirling that wide receiver Jakobi Meyers, currently with the Las Vegas Raiders, could be making a blockbuster move to the reigning Super Bowl champions. If true, this shift would not only send shockwaves through the AFC West, but also give Patrick Mahomes yet another dangerous weapon to terrorize defenses. Meyers has been a reliable target throughout his career, making a name for himself with his precise route running and ability to make tough catches in traffic. After a solid 2023 season with the Raiders, in which he posted 807 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns, the wideout proved he could be a consistent difference maker. In 2024, he elevated his game even further, surpassing 1,000 receiving yards for the first time in his career. With such an upward trajectory, it's no surprise that a team like Kansas City would be interested in acquiring his services. For the Chiefs, the addition of Meyers could be the missing piece in their passing attack. Despite Mahomes' brilliance, Kansas City's receiving core struggled with drops and inconsistency throughout the 2023 season. While Travis Kelce remains a dominant force, adding a dependable receiver like Meyers would ease some of the pressure on the star tight end and provide Mahomes with a reliable outside threat. From the Raiders' perspective, losing Meyers to a division rival would be a bitter pill to swallow. The team is in the midst of building a competitive roster and has seen glimpses of promise, especially in its young core. However, if the Chiefs make an aggressive push for Meyers and offer significant draft capital or assets in return, Las Vegas might be tempted to make a move. The question remains, would the Raiders be willing to help their biggest rival get even stronger? While nothing is set in stone, the idea of Meyers joining Mahomes and Andy Reid in Kansas City is enough to get football fans buzzing. Will the Chiefs pull off another shrewd acquisition to maintain their dominance? Or will the Raiders shut down any possibility of strengthening their divisional adversaries? Stay tuned, because this developing story has the potential to reshape the balance of power in the AFC West. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.